All right, so is it possible to build muscle and burn fat at the same time? Absolutely, yes. Hey guys, I'm Mark McKillier with Live Anabolic, and today let's talk about how to build muscle and burn fat faster than ever. And it is possible, but there's a few things you got to avoid and a few things you need to know. So let's just start off by discussing the fact that there's a lot of young guys out here, and I'm talking about really serious fitness buffs, bodybuilder types that just look fantastic. And if you see them on Instagram or YouTube or something like that, they're always talking about their bulk phase and then their cutting phase. And that is a technique that works really good for putting on muscle. They'll eat just tons of food. They'll get kind of chubby, a little soft looking, and they'll do it for, 4, 5, 6 months maybe. And they'll just really push it hard in the gym. And they build muscle, but they look like shit, all right? They don't look really impressive, and they know it. And then they go into their cutting phase. And I mean, they really cut out all the crap in their diets. They start eating at a big caloric deficit. They ramp up their cardio. They do cardio every day. They just shed all that fat they put on. And it is true that you can put on muscle faster if you're eating at a caloric surplus, if you're taking in more calories than you're burning. But when that happens, of course, you're also adding fat. All right, and they're fine with it because when you're in your 20s, it's easy to burn that extra fat that you intentionally put on just so that you can build muscle more efficiently. It sucks when you're my age, all right? I'm 62. Once you get into your mid 40s and definitely over 50, I highly recommend you avoid that technique because it's hard enough to lose fat. No sense in artificially adding fat, all right, just so you can build a little muscle. And then you have to go try to lose that fat that you unnecessarily added. It's a pain in the ass, guys. So anyway, the tips I'm going to give you today are going to help avoid that technique that works great when you're in your 20s, but it sucks after 50. All right, let's just start off with tip number 1, and that is, guys, you need to do resistance training. I mean, building muscle is all about resistance training. You just can't get around it. All right. And so I know there's a lot of guys that try to kind of create their own workout programs. I see them asking questions on our Facebook page. And I kind of cringe when I see a lot of these questions because they have no idea what they're doing. All right. And they're talking about how many days a week should they work certain muscle groups and how many days should they take off for rest and all that kind of stuff. And so guys, you really do need to do resistance training 4 to 5 days a week. All right. But it's way more complicated than what I just told you there. All right. So please, I urge you, don't try to create your own workout program. I know I'm promoting, my workout programs, but between Gary Walker and myself, we have, at least 4 really good workout programs on our website. It's at liveanabolic.com. And just kind of click on them and just kind of, it gives you a feel for the workouts. My stuff, my workouts are really designed to be done at home with minimal amount of equipment. Gary's typically are designed to be done at a gym with all the cool equipment that comes with a gym membership. And you can kind of pick and choose, see which one you want. And they're dirt cheap. They're too cheap. I've been trying to talk my boss into raising the prices. He won't do it. So, guys, no offense, but I promise, Gary and I know way more about this than 99% of the guys watching right now. So please, you need to do resistance training as a tip, all right? But the other tip I'm giving you is don't try to do it yourself. Don't try to come up with your own ideas. Just use one of the programs that Gary and I put together because I promise they are fantastic and they're designed specifically for guys over 40, 50 years old. Tip number 2 may sound obvious, but you have to eat at a caloric deficit, all right? Now, this video is not going to tell you what foods to eat and which ones to avoid necessarily. Please use this YouTube channel you're on right now, all right, and use that little search feature and type in, nutrition. And I mean, I got, probably 12, 15 videos on nutrition with very specific ideas of what to eat and what to avoid and how to do it. Gary Walker also has a ton of videos. We got tons of free information on this YouTube channel, but you have to eat at a caloric deficit. I also have a couple of videos on actually how to calculate that. All right, that's not this video though. All right, so guys, it is true. I promise. Abs are made in the kitchen. All right, you cannot out-train a bad diet. So it's really not that hard. You can see all these great ideas that Gary and I put together for you in other videos, but you have to eat at a caloric deficit and use the search feature right here on this YouTube channel to check those other videos out. All right, tip number 3 is really good for you guys that are super busy and just don't have a lot of free time to work out throughout the week. You still got to get that, that resistance training, the weight training in there, but you also should try doing H.I.I.T cardio, because this is going to help burn extra calories and get rid of the fat. Remember, because this video is about building muscle and burning fat at the same time. And yes, you can do it, all right? So I think H.I.I.T is especially good because it doesn't just burn calories. It also sends signals to your brain to ramp up your body's natural production of testosterone. And if you do it hard enough, it creates something called the EPOC effect, and that stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. The easier way to think of it is HIIT training basically revs up your metabolism and keeps it at a higher level than it otherwise would be for a number of hours after your workout's already done. And that means you're just going to be burning more calories than you normally would if you'd gone out and jogged a couple of miles. All right. And of course, HIIT, you need to use that search feature I've been telling you about on this YouTube channel. We got tons of great HIIT workouts, and that stands for high intensity interval training. All right, it's basically going all out. It's kind of a sprinter's mentality. Now you're not out running 40-yard dashes, but the exercise that you're doing with a sprinter's mentality, and it's not necessarily lifting weights. All right, it's typically cardio type exercises, but doing them in a sprinter type mentality. You'll get really gassed, you'll get really out of breath, and you have to stop and catch your breath for a minute, and you do it again. This is you do several cycles or several circuits of it. Great way to burn calories and lose fat, but it's real quick. It's not real time consuming, because if you want to go out and jog 2-3 miles, that's going to take a while, and a lot of you guys just don't have that time. All right, the final tip, guys, is rest and recovery. And part of that, or a lot of that, is your sleep. Once again, there's a bunch of videos right here on YouTube where we talk about sleep, and I give specific examples of how to get better sleep. This video is more of a high level overview, and that is, guys, if you didn't know already, when you're sleeping at night, that's when your body produces the vast majority of your hormones for that 24-hour period. So if you're not getting really good restful sleep and enough of it, then your body's not producing as many of the hormones that we need to build muscle and lose fat. So your body produces the majority of, say, testosterone at night when you're sleeping. Now, you do produce testosterone throughout the day, but most of it is at night while you're sleeping. So if you're not getting enough sleep, that means you're going to have lower testosterone levels than you otherwise could have. And testosterone is not just good for building muscle, it's also critical for burning fat, all right? So high T levels are important for both of those categories, and that's what this video is about, building muscle and burning fat at the same time. So sleeping is really important, and the more intensity that you're putting into your workouts, the more important sleep becomes. Simple as that. All right, so is it possible to build muscle and burn fat at the same time? Absolutely, yes. However, avoid doing it the way a lot of these young bodybuilders do it, where they just bulk up and get real chunky and fat and put on muscle, and then they diet down and lose a bunch of fat, and they're just constantly doing that. And when you're in your 20s, your body can do that. It's much more efficient at burning fat. When you're my age, or when you're in your 40s or 50s, man, it's no fun trying to lose that extra 20 pounds of fat that you intentionally put on just so you could get a little stronger. It ain't worth it, all right? And then These tips are pretty straightforward, guys, and they will work, but only if you stick with it and never give up on yourself.